Hi guys, it's Kem, but my real name is Kristen, and I'm from Connecticut, been here my whole life, and I had an experience in 2013 that I was brought back from, and I was told to testify what I saw when I was sent to hell when I overdosed on drugs, and like I said, this happened in 2013, so this is a very long awaited testimony. Obviously, I've been dreading, coming on video and going onto YouTube to tell people about my experience because it's a bad reflection on my judgment, and also, I know that there's going to be people that don't believe me about what happened, but regardless, I'm going to tell you what happened to me when I died in 2013 from an overdose, attempting to kill myself, and what the message was that God gave to me when He sent me back here. So it started one night. I don't remember the exact date, but I know it was in 2013, like sometime in the summer, probably towards the end of the summer and into the fall, which is when my depression gets really bad with the change of the seasons and the sun starting to go down earlier. And I had just found out, like about 6 weeks beforehand, that my husband of almost 10 years had an indiscretion with a couple females. I won't go into too much detail on that, but needless to say, that was extremely heartbreaking and a life-changing moment for me. And I just had it, and I felt stuck, and I was frustrated. I felt betrayed. I felt, disgusted. I might have already said that. I'm a little nervous, but it was like I was living with a stranger that I thought I had known since I was 15 years old, but I really didn't know at all. So when I found out that he had a couple of indiscretions, I just felt like there was no other choice for me but to get off of the earth, because I don't really have many options. I'm not capable at this point in time, due to several illnesses that I have, of working consistently and holding down a steady job. So moving out wasn't an option for me, otherwise I would be homeless. So I basically had found out about these indiscretions, and I was stuck here with the person that was now a stranger to me. And one night I just completely lost it, thinking about, how am I ever going to trust my husband again? How is this going to work? If I have to move, like, how am I going to survive on my own? I have no way of making, substantial money, like enough money to live on my own. Like, am I going to have to go back to my parents' house, where I had a few incidences happen when I was 11 years old at my parents' house. So that wouldn't be a good place to go, because I would be re-traumatized all over again living there. So basically, my only options, I felt, were death or living here basically in purgatory, which is what I felt I was living in at the time, and which is kind of what it feels like we're living in now. So maybe now is a good time to tell the story. Maybe now is when I was supposed to tell the story of what happened to me. So I think it was a rainy night, which usually tends to make me more depressed. And my husband always visits his mom on Wednesday nights, and he doesn't get home until about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So I was by myself with my dog, and I just decided that I had it, and I wasn't going to keep living like this and living a life of lies and a life of living in purgatory. And so I took pretty much every pill that I could find in the medicine cabinet. I'm on like 5 or 6 different prescriptions for depression and anxiety, as well as some sleeping pills to try to help me sleep. So I took a bunch of those, and I drank a ton of alcohol, and then I decided to go to bed, and I was hoping that I would never wake up again. And so I laid down on the bed and I closed my eyes, and the next thing I knew, I was literally teleported somewhere in the Middle East, kind of in like a desert area. In my mind, I knew it to be like Saudi Arabia. And I saw two men that were supposedly brothers, but I found out that the one older brother was not actually the younger brother's brother. It was actually a demon. And what I saw was that this younger Middle Eastern man was attempting to garrote himself on a tree, which I didn't even know what garroting was at the time. And I guess that's where you, like, basically you strangle yourself or someone strangles you, and or you have like a device pushed into like the back of your neck to pierce your neck at the same time. And there's various forms of that, but that was the particular image that was there in front of me that I actually saw. Not an image, I was there and I saw this happening. So this guy, this Middle Eastern guy, was probably middle-aged, and he was attempting to kill himself. And he had an older brother, which turned out, to my knowledge later on, that it was a demon who was egging him on to kill himself. And he kept saying, you know, you can do it, like, just like, reach forward. The guy was on his knees and the rope was around his neck. He was tied to a tree, and there's some kind of like spike in front of the guy's neck as well, so that if he leaned forward enough, he would choke out, and then his, like, the front of his neck would hit the spike and he'd definitely die. And this older brother demon kept egging him on, even though I could read the thoughts of the other guy who was attempting to kill himself, and he didn't actually want to kill himself. And in my head, I was telepathically screaming to this man, and I'm pretty sure he could hear me, that, you know, you don't have to do this. If you have any doubt, like, don't go through with it. Don't listen to what your brother is saying. Like, if you can back out of it, you still have the chance to, don't do it. But the guy just kind of telepathically let me know, like, he couldn't handle his life, and he was done, and he was going for it. And the older brother kept egging him on and saying, yes, you know, this is the correct thing to do. Just, you know, I can help push you forward, and the spike will go through your neck and you'll be done. So the guy ended up doing that in my vision, or whether or not I was actually teleported, which is what I believe. Whatever it was, I was actually there. In whatever capacity, I was there, and I saw this. So the younger brother died. I don't know his name. And the older brother laughed after the younger brother died, and that's when it was known to me that it was a demon that was really egging on the younger brother to kill himself. And so how I ended up seeing hell and heaven was that whoever my guardian angel is, I don't know if maybe it was even Jesus himself, because I wasn't allowed to look at the person. It was a being that was so bright that I was told if I looked, I'd actually go blind, because I'm not in the spiritual realm yet. So this being had me follow him or her to where the other guy's soul was going, which was hell, so that I could see what hell was. And basically, I found out later this was because obviously I was trying to kill myself, and this was to show me where I would end up if I had completed it. So my soul and the angel or spirit that was next to me, and the guy that died, the younger guy who garroted himself, our souls all went down to hell. And I was in hell probably for about maybe 5 minutes, but it literally was an entire lifetime. And I can't even describe in human words what hell is really like. I don't know if there's different versions of hell, but where I went, hell was just completely black. And when I mean black, I don't mean just lack of light, which there's completely no light. When I mean black, I mean there's not even an ounce of hope. There's not a glitter of, you know, prayer that you can like pray to God for your soul to come back or for him to forgive you. Where I went, it was a complete separation, a realm that was completely separated in any way, shape, or form to God. Like, no matter how much I was screaming in my head, praying, asking God for forgiveness and to forgive the guy that killed himself, give us one more chance. Like, I learned my lesson. I won't do this again. And I could tell, basically, it was like the thought was implanted, so it must have been telepathic communication, that from God, that he, whoever is going to be throwing their life away isn't going to make it to heaven. And that, now that I had like thrown my life away and I was a child of God, and he looked at me as an actual child that he created, and he thought, I was told by God that it was completely disrespectful for me to, throw my body away and waste it when he had created me. And basically, just like a parent thinks of a child, this is the exact way that it was conveyed to me by God that he looks at me. So even though he didn't want to have to be separated from me and cut me off from any of his light and his glory and from any hope, he had to, because it was just such a disrespectful act to him that he couldn't accept me into any other realm but this black void that I was in. And when I was in this black void, there were tons of other people in there that I couldn't really see. I just knew they were there, and we communicated telepathically, but not really in sentences. It was more thoughts of almost like I could take their place for a minute and kind of feel what they were feeling and see what like sin had driven them to be in the black void, if that's what it's called. But I can't really convey, because there aren't human words to describe what the black void is. It's literally a lack of all type of hope, a lack of any sort of ounce of happiness or anything to look forward to. There's complete separation from God, which is absolute torture. It doesn't sound like it, but when you're actually there and you realize that you have no way of communicating with God anymore, and he's cut you off, and that's it. He doesn't want anything to do with you because of what you did to yourself by killing yourself. It was absolutely fucking terrifying. I was just begging in my head to have another chance at life, because it was just sheer torture being there for the couple of minutes I was in there, maybe 5-10 minutes. And it just was pitch black. I could hear all the other people telepathically saying like what they, not really saying, they were mourning like their sins that they had committed that brought them to the black void and the separation of God. And it just, the sense of complete dread, knowing that you're stuck there indefinitely and there's no going back, there's no praying your way out of it, and you're completely separated from God and anything holy. It was just, the sheer intensity of the horror was so beyond anything I could even put into words. I know I'm not describing it well because there just aren't human words for it. It was completely lost, hopeless, black, nothing but, negative thoughts. All of the sins that you've committed all your life kept going around and around and around your head. I could also kind of go into the heads of other people and hear, what brought them there and the sins that they were, commiserating about and ruminating about, going over and over in their heads. And that's all we would be doing for the rest of eternity, is crying out to God, begging him to take us back, as his children, but knowing that there's absolutely no way that we can turn back, and we're just hearing other people's sins and other people's terror and shock and dismay and depression, and that's all we could do, was just sit there in this black void and just know that we're completely separated from God and we have absolutely no chance of getting out. And to combine on top of this was the fact that, this is what made it even worse, was that while we were in hell, or the black void, the separation of God, we could actually see heaven from where we were. So not only were we completely cut off from God and anything heavenly or holy or any sort of hope or light, we could also see people that were in heaven. The light side is what was said to me in my mind. That was what it was called, the light side, and I was in the dark side. And I could see on the light side that, like, literally you could see, like, almost kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, almost kind of like a ectoplasmic, like, mist type thing that was like pure love. That was what went through my head. There was like an actual, like, vibration of pure love that was in heaven. It was completely bright. And basically what you've heard before about heaven is true, like the descriptions of it being, bright, everyone's in white, and it was just pure happiness, and I could actually see the happiness. It was like something almost textural that you could even, like, feel. It was like a vibration and like a feeling you could actually touch. Like, joy was actually a touchable feeling, and I could see that over on the bright side, and I was in the dark side. So, and I could see that people were able to interact with Holy Spirits and with God, and meanwhile I'm like 3 meters maybe away from where heaven was with all these other people. I have no idea how many, maybe at least 200 people in the void, just like immediately around me. And that was absolutely even worse than knowing that you were completely separated from God indefinitely, was the fact that you could see others that were meshed with God, and everybody was meshed together. Basically, everybody was kind of like one soul over there. There's no different, like, opinions. There's no different, like, personalities. It's just everybody is happy, content, can interact with Holy Spirits and angels, and with God, and you're, obviously completely at bliss and content when you're in heaven, and, everything is amazing there. So for me to be in the black void, separated from God and any sort of hope, and knowing that I was going to be in this blackness for all of eternity, while also being able to see everybody that was in the light, on the light side in heaven, it was just absolute sheer torture, just for even the couple of minutes I was in there. I have no idea how long it was, 5 or 10 minutes. And then before I knew it, I kept praying in my head, and I prayed through Jesus' name to just please let me out of here. I won't ever attempt suicide again. Like, no matter what happens, I'm not going to ever try to actually kill myself again. And I was granted the chance to come back to life, and on one condition. The condition was that I needed to tell people about my experience going to hell and seeing heaven, and also the condition that obviously I won't kill myself. And God specifically wanted me to relay the message that, and I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I know that there's reasons to kill yourself, trust me, and I sympathize with everybody who's made that decision to kill themselves. I'm just telling you what God told me to testify after this was over, in order to come back to life, was the fact that he looks at suicide as completely disrespectful, like exactly like how a parent would think of a child, but magnified, because we actually were each individually designed by God for a purpose. So for us to just throw it away and disregard our life that he specifically built for us, specifically made our bodies and our souls and our energy, and it was just so revolting to God that to throw it away via committing suicide, that there will be from what I was told, eternal separation from God if people were to make that choice to kill themselves. Again, I don't know if, I don't want to hurt people's feelings by saying that. I'm just telling you what I was told. Maybe there's, a case-by-case basis. I'm not sure, but that was the message that was relayed to me in order for me to come back to life. So after that experience, I was, again, with the being that was with me initially that brought me down to hell. The being never left my side, but since I was so focused on the experience of being in hell and the sheer torture of it, and then looking over into heaven and being enmeshed in that, beauty, I didn't pay too much attention to who was by my side when I was in those moments. But after God gave me that final message in order for me to come back to life, I again felt and saw the radiating light that was next to me, which I knew was the angel or possibly Jesus himself. I'm not sure. I wasn't allowed to know, and I wasn't allowed to look. I was told I'd actually go blind if I were to look because these angels and beings are so bright. And that's when I was taken with the angel back up into my bed, and I opened up my eyes and immediately ran over to the computer and I typed everything down. But I, as you can see right now, I don't need paperwork in front of me because I very specifically remember this instance and the torture that I felt in hell and the just sheer desperation for God to give me another chance so that I won't be eternally separated from him again. Because that's definitely the most terrifying and unbelievable experience I have ever been through. And I've been through a lot of crazy experiences. I've jumped out of a car on a highway. I've been really reckless with my life. I've done every drug known to man, and I just never really cared about being on this earth. And that's ultimately why it led to the path that it did, where I, in 2013 just had it and wanted out permanently. So when I tell you that I've had a lot of crazy experiences in my life prior to this, believe me, I have. I've been robbed at gunpoint. I've had, numerous things happen. I had instances happen when I was a kid that, were violating. I don't want to go into detail on that. But nothing, I'd rather be robbed at gunpoint every day for the next 25 years than to ever experience one more second in the black void or hell. I'm not sure exactly what it was, if it was a subsection of hell, whatever. I'd rather be held at gunpoint every single day of my life for the next 25 years than to spend literally one more second in that black void and in that dark pit, looking over at heaven and seeing everybody else who was content while the rest of us were sharing our misery in the black void and feeling the separation from God. So, like I said, I was hesitant to put this out there. That's why it's now 2020, and it's been 7 years since this happened. And I kept saying I was going to do it. God told me I needed to tell people what happened to me. And I'm not the type of person who wants attention or, wants to be on camera, but I'm just telling you what happened to me. And I just beg anybody out there that is considering suicide to give it 2 weeks. If you're really feeling like you're on the brink of something, just tell yourself, okay, I'll give myself 2 weeks and see how I feel at the end of the 2 weeks. Because I guarantee you there's going to be something that's going to make you feel better in between those 2 weeks of when you would want to kill yourself and the 2 weeks that you wait. And also, obviously, get help from a doctor, get on some medications, get into therapy, talk to people, whatever you need to do. But I'm telling you right now, there is nothing on this planet that will ever compare to being in hell. I mean, I could now survive under a bridge if I had to, whatever I need to do, as long as I don't end up back in that dark void of complete separation of any love, any light, and any sort of godly spirit. Trust me, you don't want to end up there. You definitely want to be on the light side in heaven when you pass. So I'm just relaying what was told to me, and I obviously understand people that are suicidal, and I understand, why people won't want to be here, especially in the times we're having now with this virus and all of us being locked down. But if anyone needs help, please, I'll leave my email. You can email me. I'll be more than happy to chat with anybody who's not feeling good. I'd be happy, if somebody wants me to write down what I've just told you on video, to send it to whatever other YouTube channels, whatever anybody wants me to do, I'll put my contact information in this video, and just please heed my warning. You don't want to be separated from the Holy Spirit. You do not want to be cut off from God. So don't kill yourself. Do whatever you need to do. Contact me, contact a doctor, get on medication, get therapy, cry, scream, take your dishes out of the dishwasher and smash them all. Go to like one of these smash rooms, go jogging. Just don't do it. Give yourself time to really think about things and to get help. I mean, you don't want to end up where I was. Trust me, you do not want to go there. But you do definitely want to go to heaven. Heaven is beautiful, so that's one positive thing. So I am excited to actually, when I pass away, I'll be very excited to go there. But that's, this is what I'm telling you happened to me. This is my testimony. And finally, after 7 years of promising God I would tell people what happened, here I am. And whether you believe me or not is up to you. But this is what happened. So heed my warning, and if you feel suicidal, get help. If you need to contact me, you can contact me as well. I have no problem talking to anybody and relaying this trip to hell that I was taken on as many times as needed. So again, my channel name is KEM, but my real name is Kristen, and this happened in 2013 when I overdosed on pills and I was sent to hell, and I also saw heaven from hell. So I guess that's basically the best I can do to really relay what it's like, and I'll put my contact information in the video, and just stay safe and healthy and get help if needed. Okay?